Hey guys, it's Tammy and I'm back. And I'm going to kind of play on what I showed you last night and today. If you didn't catch my live a few minutes ago on how I created tracers, be sure to go back and look at that. But I talked to you about how these two Dollar Tree cutouts became this idea of needing to make more than just the cutouts. These are what I'm going to paint on in just a minute, but in the live, I actually showed you how I created the tracer. And if you want this tracer that you can then put on a canvas or on a round for a door hanger or anything else, just go ahead, the link's above, and if that link doesn't work, link should work. I'm pretty sure it'll work. But that way, you just, it's got all the step-by-step instructions with it as well. So I'm going to get started and let you know first and foremost that when I did this guy, I used some essential stencils, and I'm going to be using some today. Some are from this new set, this new tag set that I believe is called Love Mini Tags. So I'm going to use a couple of those. On the round I did, I used the Happy Valentine's Day from the 2-pack that is called Valentine Truck. So remember, you can always mix and match your stencils. You don't have to make it say Happy Valentine's Day. This is a new 6-pack from Essential Stencil that has some sayings that might be what you want to have in your snowflake instead. One just says hugs, one says love you a bushel and a peck, kissing booth, better together, I like that one, and love you more. Or there might be one from some other sets. So the other thing, excuse me, I'm just really all froggy today, hang on the background of this guy, I pounced a couple colors, and it's all in the step-by-steps, and then I added some snowflakes. And those snowflakes I'm going to use on my snowflake in just a minute, but I wanted you to know that they are from the 3 set at the holidays that had the deer heads, the trees, and the snowflake Christmas pattern 12 by 12 3-pack. So, told you that. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to put you down. I will put me upside down so you are right side up. Hello, hello. So again, I'm going to show it to you using the cutouts. La, 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 la. But you can certainly, there, going down, making sure we're right side. I always like to double check. That should say Essential Stencil, it does. So this, I showed you how I did the pattern using just a Word document. That I took a picture of the finished circle and we inserted it. And also how the original pattern kind of came to be of tracing out the outlines of these and then filling in what I thought were going to be the details. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. La, la. This is the snowflake, and I have painted it white, okay? And I could do all sorts of things. I am going to go ahead and add the hearts and such to this. I might need to pull you up a little bit. You're a little, there, let's see if that's a little better. Yeah, okay. But I decided on this one, I want to have some extra snowflakes. So what I'm going to do is just lay these down. They can be random. Might have to move them a little bit, but it doesn't matter. And I'm going to grab, I could grab the metallic white. I could grab silver. I could grab one of those sparkly top coats. I think I decided I wanted to go silver. And of course, I set it down somewhere. Where did I set it down? Look at me. I'm actually organized. That's scary, especially for me. For me to actually have all that stuff together. Yeah, scary, scary. So here's the silver. Here's my plate. I'm going to go ahead and grab a stencil brush. I can go grab a bigger one. Really, it's up to you. I love the Essential Stencil brushes. They come in different sizes, and you'll find the size that works best for you. So whenever I put paint on my stencil brush, I just want to swirl it around so it's good and loaded. But then I also want to make sure I am offloading on a piece of paper, paper towel, something. Less is always more. Now, I just want these to be random in my background. I might have to add a couple more. And they don't even have to be complete. This is part of my background charm. This is just another way to add a little detail. So it's not just a boring snowflake. We need a little more paint. Offload. Now with the silver, if I pick this up, you will be able to see those snowflakes, but they're still not so in your face that I can't add some other details. Okay, down here. Moving around so I'm not on top of these. I've got a couple places on my snowflakes I probably gonna have to come back and shift this. But I'll pull this off first and see what I've got. So I've got all these little snowflakes out there. So I've got a couple spots that could use something. First and foremost, check the back of your stencil. Make sure there's nothing wet on there so you are not smearing something you've already done. I'm going to try to make sure I'm not using the same stencil, or same snowflake, I guess. It doesn't really matter. They're random. Hey, if you pop on live, say hi. What you doing? Are you freezing like I am today? I think I'm a wuss today. I did not handle the cold well at all. Okay. I think that's pretty good because I know I'm going to be adding some other stuff. So I'm going to set that aside, my brush aside. And I'm going to go ahead and work on the snowflake a little bit. So here's the snowflake I did on this guy. Now this was a little different. On this one, you're not going to be able to see that very well, I used an enchanting shimmer to give it a little more sheen. Oops, not that. That would be the white. This is it. It's called Enchanted Shimmer. It's a DecoArt product. It's actually designed as a top coat, but I've had a lot of fun playing with it in other ways as well. So I'm going to pull up a couple of stencils. Well, I'm going to pull up one stencil right now. And this is from that 3-pack. And this is these 3 descending hearts. And I'm just going to use that smallest heart. And I'm going to go ahead and use red. Doesn't really matter, just need to decide which way I want my bigger part of my heart to be. I'm just going to use some primary red. Use any color you want. These could be pink, these could be purple, you could have them be different colors. It's up to you. And I'm gonna just go ahead and use a little makeup sponge here. So I'm loading my sponge, but I'm always making sure I'm offloading. That offloading is your biggest thing that's gonna help you the most when you are stenciling. I gotta make this go away. I've gotta find us. Hang on, hang on, hang on. This should do it. Looks like, there we are. Okay, so I'm gonna flip you over. I see Donna. Instead it's not available. Okay, Donna, I'll go back and fix that afterwards. I actually wrote it in there, so I could have done that wrong. I will fix that when I'm done. It is also posted in the regular posts today too. So I'm going to use this hole and this hole just kind of as my guide, so I can know that that hole is about halfway up. Do I want it to go further? No. I'm going to make it about halfway. That way I know I can do the same on all of them. So I've offloaded my sponge. I probably should have taped that off. Thought I could be a little carefuler. So I know when I pick this up, I have this little extra. I don't want that to be there, so I'm just going to take this little Q-tip, a little bit of water. Thank you for letting me know that that didn't work though. Okay, so I'm going to do that all the way around. And that's kind of my mark, is that's about halfway off. I also went back on the live that I did a little bit ago. Always check the back of your stencil to make sure there's nothing there for bleed through, because you don't want to smear these. About halfway. Remember, less is always more when you're stenciling. I'd rather come back and give these a second coat than to bleed underneath or smear. Again, every time I'm going to check that. High candy. Might need a little more paint. Remember, if you decide you'd like to try out any of these stencils now or anytime in general, you can always use Cheers and you can get 10% off of your purchase. Now, these are just regular stencils. They are the newer ones that just came out in the bundle. First it came out in a bundle. I don't think the bundle is available anymore, but the tags are available. Cute, cute, cute. Offloading my sponge onto my paper towel. And we'll do this one here. It's all those little technical glitches that get me. If I could just sit and paint all day, that'd be great, you know? But I want to be able to get things to you guys too, and being able to use Constant Contact to upload a pattern for you guys is a lot easier than me trying to email everybody patterns. Again, making sure I have nothing on the back side, using my half circle as my guide here. And one more, checking. And give this guy a little boom, boom, boom. Okay. So I've got these hearts all the way around. I'm gonna go back to my, what's gonna be up there. Not that it's really the matter. I'm gonna use Hauser Green Medium. I'm gonna put a little bit of that on my plate. And I want there to be some leaves to make these into flowers. Now I could either use a liner brush, something like this, oops, or the chisel edge, the skinny edge of my flat brush. If I use this chisel edge of my brush, I'm gonna make sure I'm pulling my paint out on both sides, and then I'm keeping it as skinny as I can. And I'm just going to make a line down. This is my stem for my heart flower. Okay. I'm going to load that brush again. And I'm just going to, here's my stem for my heart flower. I'm just going to set that brush down and kind of turn it to a point. I'm going to set it down and turn it to a point. Now the other thing I could do is actually draw the shape in, either with this brush or with a round brush. The idea here is I just want a couple leaves on each of these little flowers. So I'm not too concerned about it. I just want a couple little, and they don't have to be in the same place. They're flowers. Whether it's a piece like this or a canvas or whatever you're painting, always feel free to move it so it's at the best direction angle for you. I realize there are some aspects in painting, like if you're painting the 16th chapel, that you can't move your subject around. So take advantage of the times we can. This little cutout can pivot and turn. So why not make it as easy as possible? Okay, so there I have these little flowers. these little heart flowers. Get back this way. And I decided they needed just a little something. You could just take your liner brush and do a little flick of white. That would work fine. I'm gonna use a puddle of straight white. And I'm going to grab a stylus or the end of a paintbrush. I kind of want something a little smaller. Could also use a toothpick if you wanted something really small. Well, I guess we're going to go with the end of a brush. So I'm just using the end of my brush and putting it into my paint, and I want my dots to get smaller, so I'm going to start up at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you see how they got smaller as I did that? If I wanted them to all to be the same size, I would go dip, dot, and they're pretty much the same size. I wanted them to be smaller, so I did dip, dot, and they get smaller as I go. So I'm going to do that next on all of these little heart flowers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to do my best to keep my hand out of my flowers. I think those little details just kind of make a big difference in our painting between color book and attention to detail. We know this isn't a complicated piece, but already it looks much different than just a white snowflake. Wipe the end of that brush off. All right. So that is about all I want to do with my snowflake other than add my words. And just to give me a minute or two so those dry, I'm going to set this off to the side and I'm going to start on the snowman, and then we'll come back and decide what kind of words we want to add, okay? So again, this is just a cutout. And instead of it just being a plain cutout, we've already added some stenciling to it. The essential stencils just really make that pop, and the hearts kind of make it say Valentine. So I need to find my snowman, which is right here. And again, that set, those hearts are from this Love Mini Tag 3 set, okay? So let's set this aside just a second. So here's my snowman that I initially painted white, but after painting the snowman on this one, I really like that pouncy look. So I'm gonna pounce my snowman on for him too. You can have any color hat and such you want. Those are those little details that you change as you like. So, grabbing a paper towel, since I seem to have lost mine already. Okay. Just got this white paint. This is just a scruffy brush. I mean, you can use a well-loved brush if you have one. This happens to be an older flat that I don't know if you can tell, but it's very, very, very loved. But this works fine too. I'm just gonna go in and I'm just going to tap wherever I want my snowman to be. In this case, I'm going white on white, that's fine. Otherwise, I would have kind of seen a little bit of the wood through there, but I still am getting that texture, and that's kind of what I think of when I think of a snowman. Now, because he's already got these extra shapes on, I'm gonna use them. The pattern that I created for you, that I will go back and fix the link, sorry guys, is as close to these shapes as I could draw. A little more white paint. Details are kind of what make the pieces pop. There are some pieces there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing color book style, but sometimes just adding those couple little details can make a huge difference between and wow, isn't that cute? Okay, so all I'm doing is going through here and pouncing, so I've got some texture. So you can kind of see he's just got a little more texture. Okay, got that white still on my brush and looks thing. I'm gonna pick up the tiniest bit of red. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny, like there's barely anything on there at all. And then I'm going to find a spot and just tap it really well till I come up with a nice soft pink color. And that's gonna be for my cheeks. And so my nose is kind of covering some of these, which is okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do the cheeks now. So here's one cheek. And the other cheek's gonna be about here. And my nose is in the way, but that's okay. I'm just giving the idea of these cheeks, these soft little cheeks. There's not a ton of color. If you like brighter cheeks, pick up a little more paint and add a little more. I kind of like my cheeks to be kind of soft. We'll add just a tiny bit more. All right. I'm gonna rinse that out real quick. I'm gonna dry it off best I can. I'm gonna pick up some of that white again, like I was pouncing. Make sure it's clean. And I'm gonna pick up a tiny bit of a dusty blue. You could also just do a gray. I don't need much of this. Again, I'm really gonna blend that in so it's hardly any color at all. I want it to be really a light color. If I don't get it light enough, I can go back into my white. And I'm just going to, right next to where my scarf is, put just a little bit of this shadowy blue gray. This is colonial blue, but you could use slate gray. You could even use black with a lot of white. Just a little bit, and I might pull a little bit down on his one side. A little bit of shading. I'm not too worried about it, just want a little tiny bit of it. And if you wanted to, you could put a tiny bit under his hat brim too. Right next to a scarf. Again, these are those little things that you don't have to do, but tend to just kind of be that one extra little detail that says you really cared about the details. Okay, so I've got the little bit of shading happening on him. It's good, he's good. I'm gonna rinse that pouncer brush and set it aside. I'm gonna pick up an orange. This is Orange Flame. Don't need a ton of it. I'm just gonna use this round brush and paint my nose. You could use any orange you wanted. Now, there is an edge to this. Now, you decide how detailed you want to get. You could take a small brush like a liner and get right in there, or you can just top paint. And that's kind of what I'm going to do with this particular guy, is just kind of keep my paint for his nose just on the top of the cutout. Okay. While I still have that orange in my brush, I'm going to flatten my brush out as much as I can. I'm going to pick up a tiny bit more of the orange, flattening it out. So I'm actually using my round like a liner or the flat that we used before. Pick up a little bit of the red, blending those together, and I'm just ever so skinny, put a little bit of this orange red on the bottom of the nose. I might even pull in a couple of lines. Okay. Okay. So I like to have a face. I like to talk to my creatures. So I'm going to grab a little black. I'm going to grab one of these skinny little liner brushes. When I use a liner brush, I'm pulling my paint out of the puddle, and I like to turn it so I have a nice clean point. All right, so I need 2 eyes, and I want my eyes to be about the same distance apart. So I gotta kind of pay attention to where my cheeks are. So let's do one, so it's just close to the edge of this cheek, and I'm just gonna draw a line, okay? Then I need to figure out, well, that's pretty close to the edge of that cheek. So let's go on the other side and make it as close to it as we can. It's just a line. That is how I begin my Hershey Kiss eyes. From there, I like to pull a little bit from the point and make it kind of like a, I don't know, half of a Hershey Kiss. And then the other half of a Hershey Kiss. Do the same thing on my other eye. So I'm going to start at that point. I'm going to come down and get a little fat-bottomed eye. Not a fat-bottomed girl. Okay, that was a really bad reference. I will say it was a little easier to do my eyes without this nose in the way. But I've got those eyes that look pretty close to the same size. So I'm going to come back and pull from my little puddle again. And at the very tip of that eye, I'm going to pull a couple eyelashes going this way. That's optional. You don't have to have eyelashes. And then I just blotted my brush, and I'm going to just do a quick little line above his eye for like a little bit of an eyebrow. Why those eyes are kind of drying and doing their thing. Have to adjust this one a little bit. You can decide if you want to have a coal mouth with just little dots, or if you want them to have like a little smirky smile. I think I'm going to go for more of a simple, fun little grin. Gonna rinse my brush. I'm gonna pick up a little white just on the very tip of my brush, and I'm just gonna give him a little bit of a dot on the upper right and a little bit of a slash in the lower left. And I might even give him a little slash across his nose too. All right, so now I have somebody to talk to while I paint the rest of it. Okay, so like I said, any color you want. Because I had done this with the blue background, I really took a little time to look at a color wheel. So that blue background was this. So if you've never used a color wheel, it can be really helpful in helping you know colors that will work. So I used blue as my background. So if I look for complementary colors, red and yellow are good colors. Well, there's just something about me in yellow and snow that doesn't work. So that's where I went to go more with the reds. Now you could choose to pull in some purples and some greens to pull in extra colors, but then you really want to try to use all 4 of those. If I was using the blue and I wanted to use the tetrad, I would be using green, purple, red, and yellow. But for the blue, my complementary color is brown. I don't want a brown hat. I'm sorry, my complementary is orange. So I've got an orange nose. I don't really want an orange hat too. So I think I'm still going to go with the idea of sticking with my pinks. Again, I'm kind of making him more Valentine-y, so I think that works as well. So what I'm going to do is just create a pink. And I'm going to create a medium pink. I've got this puddle of white. I'm going to add some red to it. Now, could I go and grab a pink? Absolutely. But this way, I know for sure that that red can shade that pink. I also know that that red is the red that I used on my heart. So this will all coordinate. Let me do this real quick like. Oh, gracious. There's always something, isn't there? Hang on. My husband is in England, and our times are a little off, and he's just getting back to his hotel from his long day, and I'm just trying to do our live so I can get it done before Ryan comes home. So I'm going to paint my scarf with this pink color, and I'm going to paint that band of the hat the same color. And again, I'm trying to just stay mostly right on top of that cutout part, but you could pull a smaller brush and do the sides too. One trick I have for that is to just do the top for now and go ahead and give your piece a coat of varnish before you try to do the sides. That way, should you get it on the white part of the snowman, it will wipe off a lot easier. But most of the time, I don't have the patience for that. Oops, like, see, I just got that there. Always a good idea to have a Q-tip handy. So the snowman and snowflake that I did on that round most likely is going to be the one side I have for that door hanger, and the other side may be happening on Thursday morning when I am live for Essential Stencil. I think I might do the following holiday, which would be St. Patrick's Day, on the other side. And that way I would have a door hanger that is 2 holidays worth. I'm a big 2-sided person. Saves me storage. All right, so I've almost got this part done. Again, I'm moving it around to for my best angle. There's no sense in fighting with my paintbrush. And my paintbrush wants to go this way, so be it. So I've got this medium pink for my hat band. We're gonna call it a hat band. And my scarf. Just checking real quick like that I've got it all pretty well covered. Looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm actually gonna add these fun little detail lines, and I'm gonna do that with the same brush. I'm not even gonna change brushes. I'm not even gonna clean my brush. I am gonna pull some of it off. I'm gonna go into my red. I'm gonna pull on each side. I'm gonna use the chisel part of my brush, and I'm gonna use it as straight up and down as I can, or if you were. So I'm going to do single lines, double lines, doesn't matter. So I'm gonna do a single line this way, and I'm just tapping. And I'm gonna try to make it match my hat. It's not completely straight. I want it to kind of look a little fuzzy, I guess. And if I need to, I'll pull some more. And then where I left off here, I'm just gonna fill in. So they're not just straight lines. They kind of have a little fuzziness to them. I'm gonna go the opposite way, and I'm gonna go 2. So 1, 2. I'm gonna try to follow it down. Pulling a little more paint. this way. Catch it up here. Once I get that link fixed, all these instructions are in with the tracer for this little snowman. So there we have our details. I'm going to rinse that out. I need to let that dry for just a minute. So while that's drying, I'm going to take that pink I did. I'm not going to need it anymore, so I'm just going to add a little more white to it. I'm going to mix it up. So I'm just going to come up with a lighter pink. Maybe a little more white. That might be too much white. It's okay. I just wanted it to be a nice little soft pink. And that's what I'm going to fill in this part of the hat with. So again, I know it matches because I'm using the same color. I merely just added more white to it to make it a little lighter. Move this around so I can get to those little spots. Cute, 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 cute. So I'm going to wipe this brush off onto my paper towel a little bit, and then I'm going to pick up just a little bit of red, straight red, on the corner of my brush. I'm going to find a place to push it down in both directions to kind of soften that color up. And then I'm going to lay that red next to my hat band for a little bit of shading. If I run out of paint, I flip my brush around because I still have paint on the other side. Pick up a little more, do the same thing, and I might just pull a couple lines here and there on my hat just for a little bit of movement. It's no place in particular. Maybe separate that pom-pom a little bit. Again, those are extra little details. So I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to go in with that scruffy brush we used to pounce on the snowman. And I'm going to pick up some red. And I'm going to pounce the ball of that hat. While it's wet, I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. And I'm going to lightly tap over it. Again, just a little more detail. Now you could add buttons to her if you wanted, but because I'm going to be adding detail to the scarf, I did not want to do that. So I'm going to show you the detail on the scarf next. I'm going to use another of the tag stencils, and I'm going to do this, but it's not going to fit straight across. So I need to kind of play with it a little bit. So I'm going to start with my heart being in the middle. Gonna find just another one. Red, offloading. Okay. Now I'm going to just snip that off. I'm going to use that same sponge. I've got my heart. I'm going to make sure it's dry in the back so I'm not smearing anything. I'm going to line up the front part of this and tap into some white. Offload. Make sure it is on here as close as it can be. He may go off the scarf a tiny bit, but that's okay. I did this with silver on mine, and it didn't show up very well. I like the white better. Again, making sure everything's dry. I'm going to line up the back end of this arrow, and it may not all fit. That's okay. Use what I can. Offloading. So we've got this arrow on the heart, right? And on the door hanger, what I did is I came back and added a little more, just the clear glitter, okay? So I do want him to have a couple little arms. So I'm gonna use a little bit of brown and a liner brush, just a touch of brown. And there's no place for his arms to go. So we're just gonna create a spot for them. Make it look like his arms are gonna start here. Arm starts here, goes out, comes back in, and from there, looks like he had his arm starting out. And this guy is going to just start this way, and we're just gonna see part of his arm. So just little bits. All right, so we've got arms. I'm gonna go back to my snowflake quickly here. And I said I used the Happy Valentine's Day, but there are so many other things you could use from that other set. You could use something just real inspiring, like The Best Is Yet to Come. This is from the stencil of the month in January. Remember, you still have time to get that until the 15th. And you can use Cheers and get 50% off your first month. This was inspirational quotes like The Best Is Yet to Come, We All Shine On, Live by the Sun, Love by the Moon. And there was a couple really great backgrounds in there. I decided on this guy what I wanted to do off of a set from last year. This is the Valentine mini set, 6x6, and I'm gonna do All You Need Is Love. So the thing I do need to do is make sure my center, or the hole that I'm gonna hang it from, is straight. I'm going to use a sponge and some red back for my little heart. And I might make that a little lighter. I might make that more of a pink. Just a lighter color, just so it's a little different than my flowers. Okay, so that's my heart. And then I'm gonna do the rest of it. I'm gonna snip this. Having to watch my time, guys, because Ryan gets home at 3. Black, offloading. You could do this in any color you wanted. I just think the black will show up well. I'm going to do the black on the arrow. So there is a tracer for the circle that apparently has a glitch that I'm going to have to come back as soon as Ryan is home and settled. I will come back down to the computer. I just moved that. That was not good. This is why you tape things down, people. Do as I say, not as I do. And my girls are up there pouncing because it's after lunchtime for them. And let's do the love. And while I think All You Need Is Love is a good Valentine's saying, I guess it could be a little more evergreen. It's not just Valentine's. We all need love all the time. Pouncing this in. I'm going to need a little more black paint. Oh my goodness. Now I am going to come back and probably add a little like glitter to the heart on the Snowman scarf. And I will look at this when we are done here in just a sec. In here. This probably would have been better to do with a brush, but hey. I don't have my tape to trick me to get this up, so straight up. So we have All You Need Is Love. We've got the heart little flowers around, And I can then take my snowman and attach him to my snowflake, and I'm going to make sure my holes are level, and that's what I will hang this guy from. So that is the snowflake and snowman cutouts that are going to turn into the door hanger. I'll go ahead and apply or glue these together and put you could either hang them with ribbon or just with wire. But what do you think? Don't they look kind of cute? I think they look a little different than just having one or the other, and they're just adding those extra little bits from the I'm holding the paint on my lap. Yeah, that's pretty brave. So let me flip you guys up really quick. Like, hey, I really appreciate you guys joining me twice in one day. As soon as I get Ryan off the bus, I'll go fix that link. I apologize, but he really is fun. Whether you do them, let me see if I can hold this the right way, like this. All you need is love, and you can write anything you wanted, or you could personalize it. You could put the Mutos. Unless you're not the Mutos, then you probably don't want to do that. And this is the tracer that I'm supplying for you guys that has the snowman and the snowflake that you could put on an 18-inch round or whatever you wanted to. And hey, it don't have to be these cutouts. Just think about using this kind of thing when you have some other cutouts too, that you can put them together and they can create something kind of fun. So I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you real soon. Till I do, please, please, please take care. Be kind, be safe. Cheers.